Hi friends, welcome to the part 3 of my actuarial sessions. This is the last and final part of the second chapter, actuarial modeling. So moving on to the third part, that's the final part. What are the contents of this last part of this topic is short-term and long-term properties of the model. Then we'll be dealing with the analyzing the output of the model, the sensitivity testing of the model, and final communication of the results. So moving on to the short-term and long-term properties of the model. So what is it exactly? The stability of the relationships incorporated in the model may not be realistic in the longer term. For example, exponential growth can appear linear if surveyed over a short period of time. So what is this exponential growth? Anything which is rapid, anything which is fast, which has no any intervals or any breaks in between, is known as exponential growth. And this can appear linear if surveyed over a short period of time. So here, considering this example, I have mentioned a graph diagram in the next slide that will explain what is exactly exponential growth, what exponential growth means to the people. Okay. The next point is if changes can be predicted, they can be incorporated in the model, but often it must be accepted that longer term models are doubtful. Why? Longer term set of informations will have fluctuating parameters, fluctuating data sets, fluctuating criteria, anything. So here, if you apply modeling techniques on long-term perspective, the model will not give you a constant results of output. It will give a changing results or fluctuating results. Okay. In case if it is a short term, then models will give you an exact result, but that is not sufficient enough to come to a conclusion. So here long term perspective also have to be seen, as it is based on a real time data, as I explained before. So models are by definition simplified versions of the real world, as I said. So this is the best example of exponential graph. Can you see it? Here there is no intervals or any breaks in between in this curve of this graph diagram. So there's an exponential increase or a rapid increase of the graph. Moving on to the next part, analyzing the output of the model. Statistical sampling techniques are needed to analyze the output of a model, as a simulation is just a computer-aided statistical sampling project. Okay. Statistical sampling techniques, like you'll be dealing this heavily in CT in your core statistics CS paper, you can say. So there will be concepts ranging from probability distribution, hypothesis, hypothesis testing. You will have a bell-shaped curve diagram that will indicate different distribution of your observations across the sample. So that will be the important sampling techniques you'll be dealing with in your next paper. Okay. The actuary must exercise great care and judgment at this stage of the modeling process, as observations in the process are correlated with each other and the distributions of the successive observations change over time. So as if you can see here, each and every observations which you are recording it in your data set or considering it in the data set should be meaningful and correlated. It is not that they should be uncorrelated just because you have to derive final results of your data set. You have to meaningfully relate them to each other so that will give a meaningful results. Okay. Next is the useless and fatally attractive temptation of assuming that the observations are independent and identically distributed is to be avoided. If there is a real world system against which results can be compared, a Turing test should be used. Now, what is this Turing test? Okay. In Turing test, basically, experts who are working on modeling and data analysis, they work on the real world systems, or experts in the real world systems are asked to compare several sets of live data and model data without being told which is exactly which. So they will not be informed that this is the real data and this is the model data. They will just be given. They will just be given randomly two sets of observations, and compare and make them conclude that what is exactly the live database informations and what is a modeled database informations. This is what we call a Turing test. So what will happen is, if these experts can differentiate between these two types of data sets, the techniques for doing so could be used to improve the model. So if they are being given, if they have been given a chance to experiment on comparing both these type of data sets, then they are very strong enough in their concepts and in the techniques of dealing with any set of informations before they move ahead. Sensitivity testing. Importance of testing the reasonableness of the output from the model against the real world, which is very important. Because any input, any set of inputs or parameters we have put in a data set, or in an environment, whatever output you have derived based on some algorithms or based on some calculations or based on some analysis, it has to be, reasonable enough. It has to be valid. It has to be trustworthy, right? So to do this, an examination of the sensitivity of the outputs to small changes in the inputs should be carried out. Simple as that. The appropriateness of the model should then be reviewed, particularly if small changes in the inputs or their statistical distributions give rise to large changes in the outputs. Right? There are cases where, say, interest rates. Say you have interest rate fluctuating between, in terms of decimal, like 4.01% to 4.02%. This may sound a very minimal or a very minute change, but that difference of 0.01% is sufficient enough to change your output figure at the last. You might find a difference of the absolute amount in terms of lakhs just because of this minor change. So this cannot be ignored, right? So fluctuation between 4.01% to 4.02% might look a negligible change, but that is a very huge change when it comes to absolute figures. So this have to be taken into consideration. So this is just a simple example. You might be dealing with different equations or having different decimals and values when you're doing in a real life environment. It's very important. In this way, the key inputs and relationships to which particular attention should be given in designing and using the model can be determined. Moving on to the communication of the results. Final step in the modeling process is the communication and documentation of the results and the model itself to others. The communication must be such that it takes account of the knowledge of the target audience and their viewpoint. So obviously a difference of opinion will arise from the audience perspective. Your audience could be anyone, your superiors, your clients, okay, your colleagues who are working with you. They might have different viewpoints. Your colleague would have come up with different set of parameters and come up with a new data set which might differ from what you have derived. So there might be a negotiation or arguments going on as to why you have selected this parameter, which is differing from what you have taken. So there the communication will express different viewpoints of what exactly you have derived and what exactly your colleagues or your subordinates have derived exactly. Okay. The key issue here is to make sure that the client accepts the model as being valid and a useful tool in decision making. As I said, there will be a lot of difference of opinion arising. So you have to give a valid interpretation as to why you have derived using this model. Sometimes the interpretation might go wrong, but you will find that your client's interpretation is correct. So there you will come up to some decision and probably rerun the model with some new parameters again. It might happen like that as well. So it's not necessary that every time you might be accurate or correct. It will fluctuate. Your answers might fluctuate, your input might change, your parameters also will change. Accordingly, your output also will change drastically. So again, here it's important to ensure that any limitations in the use and validity of the models are fully appreciated. That is, their limitations are not ignored. They're taken into consideration. Probably there might be some minor limitations, which is not necessary to be checked in the short run. But in the long run, if that heavily matters, it has to be taken into consideration. Well, friends, this is the end of the second chapter. I hope this concepts of this topic has made things clear for you. That's all. If any points or thoughts to be shared, please subscribe and comment. And thank you.